Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, January 16th, 2024 regular business meeting of the Olympia City Council. For the record, we have a quorum with council member partially excused this evening. So with that, I need a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have an agenda. All right, so we will be moving on to item 1C, which is a public hearing on consideration of a resolution expressing council's collective support for the Olympia School District number 111 proposition number 1, which is a replacement of an expiring levy for educational programs and operations. At this time, council will take comments from the public in support or in opposition to the ballot measure as permitted by RCW 42.17A.555. I'm going to open the public hearing. Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, so we have two signed up for the public hearing. So we have Patrick Murphy, followed by Drew Phillips.
Mayor Payne, members of the City Council, thank you so much for hearing us this evening. As mentioned, our school board recently approved a ballot measure for a replacement levy that will be on the ballot in 2013. This is my 7th year as a superintendent in the district. This is the second time we've gone out for this levy. As was mentioned, this is not a new tax. This is something that we use to do many things that are expected in the school district. For a while, they were calling this an enrichment levy, but as you look at the little program that I gave you related to this, a lot of things that are funded by our levy are not considered enrichment. It pays for things like teachers and custodians and paraeducators and principals. And yes, it does pay for those things that we sometimes consider extra, like sports and music, but in a place like Olympia, that's an expectation every day. This is also 16% of our overall budget. So 1 out of every $6 that we spend in the Olympia School District is our levy. Because property values have gone up so much in this community, as you know, we actually believe the tax rate will go down a little bit and we'll still be able to raise more money. And there's a little dollar bill on the backside that shows you how this money is spent, and a lot of it is for enhancements, but sadly there is a significant chunk of our levy that goes for paying for special education. We're still working with the legislature to try and get them to fully fund special education, but until that happens, we use millions of dollars out of our local levy to help our students with the most significant needs in our district. So for those reasons, I just wanted to share this information with you about how important, I know you know as city leaders, how important ballot measures are to doing the work that you need to do as a city. They're also critically important to the work that we do as a school district.
Thank you. Next, we have Drew Phillips.
Hello, I'm Drew Phillips with Olympia Citizens for School. Thank you for hearing me today. I'm here because Patrick can't ask for your support, but I'm asking Olympia and all of you to please vote yes and support proposition number 1. Fully funded public schools are a vital part of our community, and this is essential money, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Okay, so with that concludes those who have signed up to speak for the public hearing. But as a standard practice, we'd like to open it up to, do we have a number?
Sorry, excuse me, Mayor. We have someone signed up for the public hearing virtually, so I'm going to go ahead and call them forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so virtually for the public hearing, we have Ben Edwards. And Ben, once you're ready and transferred over, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and start with your comments.
Ben is traveling.
Hello, my name is Ben Edwards. I attended Olympia Schools, and now my children attend Olympia Schools. I'm here to express my support for the Olympia School District Enrichment Levy, but I also have some requests of the council. One, I asked the City of Olympia to press for reform of the state's K-12 funding model in the current legislative and 2025 legislative session. In consideration of the levy, many voters will think approximately $39.4 million would be approved for use in the calendar year 2025. Unfortunately, the school district will only have access to approximately $30 million due to a flawed state law known as to many as the McCleary fix. The result of this has very real impacts to the city of Olympia and its citizens. For example, the school board of directors, by a vote of 3-2, has started the process that could result in the closure of two of Olympia's neighborhood schools, Madison and Margaret McKinney. Madison and McKinney are two of the most walkable schools in the district. Madison serves a student body with the second highest rate of students experiencing homelessness and others in our community's most vulnerable populations. Closure of these two schools would result in occupancy rates of 94 to 96% at the remaining East Side elementary schools. As a matter of justification for pursuing school closure, the school board has cited a projected $3.5 million budget shortfall on a $180 million 24-25 general fund budget. Closure of these two schools would amount to an annual savings of just $2.3 million, and the current K-12 funding model takes over $9 million off the table for our schools, which we need. The other justification used by the school board directors was declining enrollment. This is a great point of contention with community members familiar with the data model used. And so I asked the city to provide incentives to land use development that attracts families. We're not meeting our community needs if we don't make space for the children who are our future. A starting point could be to request a white paper from your housing and economic development experts on the topic. I asked the city to review housing regulations that may hinder families from occupying multifamily housing units. For example, can 2 adults and 3 children currently occupy a 2-bedroom unit under current regulations? If not, then the regulations should be re-examined to avoid bias against lower income families who would add to the enrollment in our neighborhood schools. It's not enough to simply say yes for our schools. We need the city of Olympia to promote change. Our community schools are an important part of the fabric of the city most of us call home. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. So as I was saying, it's standard practice that once we conclude those who have signed up for a public hearing, that we would open it up for those who are present in the chambers if they have any comments in support of opposition of the levy to come forward at this time. Is there anyone who would like to speak in chambers? Going once? Going twice? Okay, I'm now going to close the public hearing. So with that, is there a motion? Councilmember Gilman.
I would move to adopt the resolution expressing city council support for the Olympia School District number 111, proposition number 1, replacement of expiring levy for educational programs and operations.
Second.
All those in favor? Councilmember Cooper.
Is there a discussion? Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought we would have a chance for comment before acting, so I apologize for abruptly sticking my hand out like that. I just want to speak to the motion. I do support it, though I do think that some of the comments made are really important to lift up, especially the one that is increasingly more and more frustrating for me, and that's that the legislature seems to have checked off the box around their paramount duty of funding basic education at the close of the McCleary decision, and I don't feel like anybody is monitoring that. And it's very significant as we see the landscape of public education across the state. It's an equity issue, it's a climate issue. I think we could all have a really long work session on this conversation. In fact, I would welcome a lot more information from the school board and the school district when we have our joint meeting in a few months, because I think it's important that we understand as a city council more of what they're wrestling with, more of the land use and zoning issues around schools and making sure that, you know, we can have the right unit sizes and types for families to be able to use so that they want to raise their children in our community. I also think that, well, I just challenged the school board. They have a big job in front of them, and in getting this all right in probably one of the hardest times that a school board has seen with the enrollments and everything. And just ask the school board to keep their eye on the ball around climate and equity as they figure out where to go with these school closures, and making their budget get closer to better. I don't think anything they do this year is going to get their budget balanced, and it's going to be quite some time before they can get to that point because of the hardship that's in front of them. But if they can be laser focused on equity and climate, that's the conversation I'd love for the city council to have with the school board at our next meeting.
Thank you, Councilmember Cooper. Any other comments from the dais? All right, we have a motion and a second, so all those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. So that takes us to public comment. It looks like we have one person signed up this evening, Mayor Pro Tem.
Call Desiree Tolliver to the stand here.
Hi, I wanted to talk to the city council about the multi-family tax exemption. What sparked my interest into looking into this was the eviction of the camp in Lacey tomorrow that happened in the middle of shelter in place being implemented for Code Blue shelters. Even though personally I felt like the shelters were open too late because it did start snowing 2 days before they were opened and available to people, including families. Looking into it, the multifamily tax exemption just allows the Low-Income Housing Institute to come into areas and essentially redefine redlining. And that is done in partnership with discrimination. And it also is done equally to pile on top of small landlords in combination with bigger complexes moving in and changing property value and stuff. It is a very easy pattern to see, especially because they're trying to control the whole process from shelter to housing. Most people don't know this, but shelters greatly control who gets into housing, and they also greatly control who even gets into the shelters. Shelters are able to implement and follow rules at their own leisure. I know this because an employee at Pear Blossom Shelter straight up called me and a pregnant woman, well, not called, said to me and a pregnant woman, the whole N-word with the R at the end, and she was not fired, and I did report it. She also said to someone that Black people are lucky they don't have to wash their hair or their bodies, and she was not fired for that either. So I know that these programs are not doing everything they need to do, and if you actually look into the numbers, the $1 trillion that Washington State got would have covered people being housed for up to 6 years, and if we take the numbers off of the Utah model, when they just housed houseless people, we would have recuperated $35 million in the end from that $1 trillion if we would have just housed people with small landlords versus working with Low-Income Housing Institute and the bigger corporations. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Tolliver. Can we get staff to respond to Ms. Tolliver with some of the information regarding the MFTE program? Yeah, thank you. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you, Mayor Payne. And I'd just love to follow up if we know anything about the camp sweep in Lacey and whether it followed the protocols that we had established as a region.
I'm not familiar with the details of the camp clearing in Lacey, but I can find that information out for the council and provide a report to you. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Tolliver, I see your hand. Unfortunately, public comment is not a two-way dialogue, but you're welcome to share that information with us. It's a very short meeting, so we'll be recessing before we go into executive session, and you're welcome to grab one of us to chat with us about it. Thank you. And I see our assistant city manager coming over to you now. Okay, so that concludes public comment for the evening. And with that, I need a motion to approve this evening's consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent calendar is adopted. Okay, so with that, that concludes our business for the evening. So we will recess the meeting to have the council reconvene in 5 minutes for an executive session related to a personnel matter. No decisions will be made, and the meeting is expected to last no longer than 90 minutes. Oh, I am skipping council reports, aren't I?
We're okay with that.
I know, because I'm I've been like that all day. I've been like, let's go. Okay, well, we will back up. I will start with the mayor's report. So yesterday, I delivered a brief speech at our county's Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration, which was very moving and very incredible. I'm looking forward to next year. It was great to see so many familiar faces and meet new folks in the community, and that just made me very excited about Black History Month, so looking forward to that celebration as well. So with that, I will start to my right with Councilmember Madrone.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Vanderpool.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Gilman.
Nothing to report this evening.
Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on a little bit to that Martin Luther King celebration yesterday. It took place in Lacey at New Life Baptist Church, though it was a regional celebration and a really wonderful one at that. So while there, we also learned that at New Life Baptist Church in Lacey, they are starting really a neat tradition of in February on the weekends opening the church up to the public, and they turn it from a church to a museum of Black history. So I just encourage us on the council to make our way back there, and then also those in the community that may be watching New Life Baptist Church in Lacey. February on the weekends, you can learn about our local and our country's Black history, so really neat.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mayor Pro Tem Nguyen? All right, City Manager Bernie. Or Councilmember Cooper. See, I told you
Told him
all
I didn't want to
day.
report and he skipped over me. Thank you, Mayor Payne. Sorry, I'm not supposed to joke up here. I just wanted to say congratulations to you on a successful State of the City at the Chamber of Commerce last week. I heard great things about it. In fact,
Great.
I heard some comments that weren't so great, and then you went, and then it was like the best thing since sliced bread, quite literally on the stage that day. So good job. I've heard a lot of great things.
Thank you, Councilmember Cooper. That's great to know because I'm often very critical of myself, especially as a new mayor. And I asked our assistant city manager for some feedback, and she gave me the raw feedback, which I appreciate. So thank you, Debbie. With the city manager, Bernie.
He asked me for my feedback, but I'm nicer than Debbie.
Yes.
I have nothing to report.
All right, so now we will recess the meeting and have the council reconvene in 5 minutes for an executive session related to a personnel matter. No decisions will be made, and the meeting is expected to last no longer than 90 minutes, after which we will be adjourned for the evening. It is now 6:18.